The sausage roll is a British institution grabbed at the train station, eaten at the football, the thing your nan picked up from the butcher. But today, mass-produced versions are betraying everything a proper sausage roll should be. This film will examine 8 UK brands that prioritise pastry and fillers over meat, and we will expose what is really inside. From warm nostalgia to the uncomfortable ingredient reality, this investigation begins now. 8th place goes to Tesco's 6 pork sausage rolls, a product that wears its British pork label with pride, yet delivers only 27% pork in every bite. That means nearly 3/4 of what you get is pastry, water, and a parade of fillers. Tapioca starch sits high on the ingredient list, padding out the filling alongside wheat flour and palm oil. Tesco's packaging leans on the reassurance of British sourcing, but transparency about origin does not translate to generosity with meat. Taste tests describe the experience as bland and a little dry, a far cry from the rich, juicy rolls found in local bakeries of the past. At roughly 10 pence per gram of actual pork, Tesco sets a modest baseline, respectable in label clarity, but hardly a showcase of sausage. This is the starting point, a roll that talks up its British credentials, yet still leaves you mostly chewing pastry. Number 7 is Sainsbury's Stamford Street Budget 6-pack, which sets a new low for meat content at just 17% pork. That's not a typo. Over 80% of what you are biting into is pastry, water, and a cocktail of bulking agents. The ingredient list spells it out. Wheat flour and vegetable oils come before pork, with stabilizers and preservatives padding out the rest. For shoppers lured in by bargain pricing, the trade-off is clear: a sausage roll where the sausage is little more than a supporting act. Taste testers describe the filling as bland and nearly silent on seasoning, a roll that manages to be both forgettable and heavy at the same time. The so-called good ratio here is simply code for more pastry, less meat. Sainsbury's budget roll doesn't just cut corners, it redraws the map entirely, making the sausage roll almost unrecognisable from its butchery roots. Number 6 is Morrison's 6-pack, which at first glance looks like a rare win for meat content, with its 29% pork filling, higher than most of its supermarket rivals. But a closer look at the label tells a different story. Alongside water and modified maize starch, Morrison's leans heavily on preservatives, namely sodium metabisulfite and triphosphates. These additives help the product stay shelf-stable and moist, but they do little for flavour. In taste tests, the verdict is clear. Nobody was too keen on the meat, which comes across as weak and lacking in depth. The pastry is light enough, but the overall experience is let down by a filling that doesn't deliver on the promise of its pork percentage. Morrison's may offer good value per gram of meat, yet the reliance on chemical preservatives raises questions about what's really being prioritised: flavour or just a longer sell-by date. Number 5 is Lidl's Chef Select 6-pack, a sausage roll that promises value, but delivers more questions than answers. The label declares 29% pork, which might sound generous until you realise the rest is mostly pastry, water, and bulk fillers. The pastry itself is made not with butter, but with a blend of palm and rapeseed margarine, cheaper fats that leave the roll heavy and oddly greasy, and never crisping up in the oven. Lidl's sourcing is as vague as the flavour. The pork could come from the UK or anywhere else, a detail that is buried in the fine print. Rusk bulks out the filling, stretching the meat even further, while the taste is consistently described as bland and forgettable. For those hoping for a golden, flaky treat, Lidl's offering is a letdown, more about saving pennies on fat and flour than delivering a proper sausage roll experience. Number 4 is Aldi's Crestwood 6-pack, which lands in the middle of the pack for meat content, but falls flat where it counts flavour. The label reveals just over 21% pork, while fat makes up a hefty 19% of the filling. That means nearly 4/5 of what is inside is pastry, water, and bulk filler, with fat doing most of the heavy lifting instead of meat or spice. There is no real seasoning to speak of, no trace of herbs, no pepper kick, just a functional fatty core wrapped in a bland shell. Taste testers sum it up as no excitement, a roll that might fill a hole but will not leave a lasting impression. Aldi's approach sacrifices flavour for cost, delivering a sausage roll that is neither the worst offender nor anything to savour. It is a fat-forward filler that proves more is not always better when it comes to sausage. Number 3 is Asda's 6-pack, a masterclass in sausage roll deception. At first glance, these rolls look like they belong in a bakery window, golden, glossy, and thick with pastry. But slice one open and the illusion falls apart. The filling is a narrow, pale core, barely making a dent in the sea of pastry that surrounds it. Asda's own figures put the pork content at around 25%, which means 3/4 of each roll is wheat flour, vegetable oils, water, and a cocktail of stabilizers. The company touts that 59% of its pork is British, but that leaves a sizable chunk coming from elsewhere, a detail that fades into the background behind the bakery fresh marketing. Taste testers are blunt. Too much pastry, not enough meat. The experience is all crunch and chew, with the actual sausage so thin it feels like an afterthought. Under the camera, these rolls win on looks but lose on substance, setting up the perfect segue to branded products that charge even more for the same pastry. Heavy trick. Number 2 is Pucker's 4-pack, a brand that wraps itself in the colours of nostalgia and football terraces, yet delivers little more than a laboratory blend in pastry. Despite premium pricing that nudges past most supermarket 6-packs, Pucker's filling contains just 27% pork. The rest is a cocktail of bulkers and boosters, potato starch, wheat protein, dried skimmed milk, and front and center monosodium glutamate, the infamous MSG. That is the secret behind the full flavor claim, not any generosity with meat. Taste tests call out a budget vibe beneath the glossy branding, with a filling that feels more like reconstituted paste than sausage. At over 3 pence per gram of pork, you are paying top dollar for a roll that leans on chemistry, not craftsmanship. Pucker's so-called upgrade is really a masterclass in disguise, more about engineering a hit of savory than delivering the richness of proper pork. And finally, in first place, Wall's Jumbo Sausage Roll delivers the most brazen mismatch between branding and reality. The word jumbo promises abundance, but the actual filling is a thin, pale core, just 25% pork, with the rest bulked out by wheat protein, tapioca starch, and a barrage of industrial additives. The label reads like a chemistry set. Emulsifiers, diphosphates, and monosodium glutamate all make an appearance, pushing the sausage further into the background. Palm oil and wheat flour dominate the pastry, ensuring that even at a premium price, you are mostly paying for cheap fats and fillers. At over 3 pence per gram of pork, Wall's charges one of the highest prices per gram of meat on the market, outstripping supermarket 6-packs by a wide margin. Taste testers call it bland, with an artificial edge that no amount of seasoning can hide. This is the ultimate sausage roll ripoff, a product that hides its lack of substance behind glossy branding, leaving nostalgia at the door and the consumer short-changed. First up, Greggs proves that execution can sometimes outshine the numbers. Despite an estimated 20% pork content on par with many supermarket rolls, Greggs shifts the conversation with freshness and seasoning. Around 2.5 million sausage rolls leave their counters each week, each one served hot and flaky, the pastry shattering at the first bite. The filling may not be packed with meat, but it is balanced with just enough spice and proper seasoning to give a sense of richness missing from the chilled, mass-produced packs. Taste testers consistently point to the warmth, the crisp pastry, and the satisfying blend of flavors as reasons why Greggs stands apart. Here, the low meat percentage does not feel like a betrayal. Freshness and careful seasoning deliver a sausage roll experience that is still worth seeking out, proving that quality is not just about numbers on a label. Also worth considering, M&S, 6 large sausage rolls offer a glimpse of what supermarket sausage rolls could be if quality still mattered. With an estimated 35% pork, these rolls pack in far more meat than any of the countdown's contenders. The difference is clear from the first bite. Real butter in the pastry creates a rich, flaky texture, while the filling delivers proper seasoning and depth of flavor. There is no parade of palm oil or industrial margarine here, just fuller, more satisfying mouthfuls. M&S doesn't just raise the bar, it reminds us that the sausage roll can still be a benchmark for British baking, not just a vessel for cheap filler. Across all 8 brands, one pattern is impossible to ignore. The Great British Sausage Roll has been hollowed out with more filler, less meat, and marketing spin masking mediocrity. This is not nostalgia. It is a wake-up call. If we want real sausage rolls back, it starts with read the label.